One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing well on a Saturday evening. Thanks for tuning in. Little housekeeping. We're not sure. We're checking it out. I've got my feed nailed into it if they turn the camera on. It seems as though there's a huge MAGA Inc. dinner happening tonight at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm not sure if they're going to release the feed or they're going to do it after the event, but whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm talking about, if for some reason that comes on, we will jump right to it. In addition, later on, I'm going to give away 2 ounces of silver to 1 ounce to 2 different people, so we're going to award that stuff today. That being said, let's get into the show. By the way, hope your football team did well today. For some reason, YouTube and Disney can't get their act together, and they blocked ESPN and ABC, so I didn't get to watch the Notre Dame game. I am so pissed off. I watch it every week. And usually it's on NBC or Peacock, but today they decided they were going to put it on ESPN, and the two of them are arguing about money, of course. So I hope you guys got to see your game. Also, I hope you were able to go get your groceries today, and you didn't run into any welfare queens or ghetto EBT queens, as they're called. Hope everything went well for you. There's so many videos on X about their trials and tribulation of getting free stuff. But I don't know how many of those are clickbait or rage bait or whatever, but they're kind of funny. These people, reality is kicking them upside the head, that you might actually have to go get a job. You might have to go buy your own groceries. And yesterday I showed you, and I posted a clip of it today, that President Trump, I think, did an amazing chess move by telling the court, yeah, I'll do it. Clarify for me how exactly that gets done. Put it right back into her, no pun intended, right back into her court. But that was yesterday. Today is today. And a couple different things happened. One, Elon Musk he said some things today on or yesterday on the Joe Rogan show that makes you wonder, or at least it made me wonder. You guys can let me know what you think, but it made me wonder if he indeed is still working behind the scenes in some sort of secret capacity with President Trump. It does appear, though, that he still has his hands in what's going on. So without further ado, and again, I'll keep watching to see if the feed comes up in regards to the event. Let's jump into this. Let's hear what Elon Musk had to say in his interview with Joe Rogan.
If Trump had lost, there would never have been another real election again, because Trump is actually enforcing the border. Now, you can point to situations where there's been, immigration. Enforcement has been overzealous because they're not going to be perfect. There'll be cases where they've been overzealous in expelling illegals. But if you say that the standard must be perfection for expelling illegals, then you will not get any expulsion because perfection is impossible.
Okay, so I completely agree with him. There are going to be mistakes. The Democrats are amplifying these mistakes. Oh my God, she's just a grandmother. She got, snatched up. There are going to be mistakes. Why are there going to be mistakes? That's one of the things that the news people don't address. Why are there going to be mistakes? Well, these people are being harbored. They are being shielded. They are being housed. They are being protected by everything from churches to NGOs. And, when they say, is there racial profiling, it's kind of hard not to. When you brought in 10, 15, 20 million people who aren't supposed to be here, and most of them came through, Mexico and points that way, it's going to be very hard not to profile. The old Jesse James thing when they asked him, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. That is the most perfect statement for what's going on. There will be some mischaracterizations. There will be some arrests that are wrong. Why is that? Because we have to arrest the people who came in here illegally. And in order to get all those people illegally, you hang out with who you choose, you might get arrested. I don't hang out with criminals. You don't hang out with criminals. But when you're grabbing 25 and you're number 26, then you're pretty much one of the people who is a criminal. So you're going to get it. You're gonna get the handcuffs until they can sort everything out. Does that sound bad? You shouldn't have let them in. How about that? How about, Mr. Reporter, you asked the Democrats, why did you let them in? See, if you didn't let them in, you wouldn't have anything to worry about right now. And everybody who would get arrested, or when they're talked to by a police officer and he's like, can you show me your ID? No. Okay, well then you get to go. It's very simple. Very simple.
You have the standoff is because if the hundreds of billions of dollars to create a financial incentive to have this giant magnet to attract illegals from every part of Earth to these states, if that is turned off, the illegals will leave because they're no longer being paid to come to the United States and stay here.
We've talked about it many times. I like the fact that he said the exact same thing. The reason why the Democrats have dug their heels in, the reason why they are fighting so hard for these benefits, the reason why they shut down the government isn't because they're worried about health care of Americans. They're worried that these people will leave. The incentive for them to stay here is gone. Not only are you going to get arrested, that possibility, and maybe split from your family, that possibility, but now the incentive, the reason I came here wasn't to vote for Democrats. The Democrats looked at that as a side benefit. The reason I came here and I crossed the Rio Grande and did all this crazy stuff was because you told me you were going to take care of me when I got there. I was going to get EBT. I was going to get health care. I was going to get bus passes. I was going to get someplace to live. That's one hell of a promise to somebody who's, over there eating dirt cookies. If you haven't seen that video, go look that up, by the way. And so I didn't come here to be a Democrat voter. I came here for all the free stuff. If you turn off the free stuff, then I'm risking my livelihood. I'm risking my family even being here. Your vote is over here. That's the least of my worries. I'm here because you gave me the creature comforts of home, and it was a fantastic vacation. And if I could get a job under the table at some restaurant or car wash, then I'm making money on top of the free stuff you gave me. You think these people are really paying taxes? How about check the remittances going back to Mexico? Western Union needs to be doged. Western Union really needs to be dug into deeply to see all this money that goes to all these different countries from people working here. Go to any check cashing store on a Friday afternoon and look at the line. It'll prove to you yourself. So right now the Democrats are in a panic because all these people who they had to deal with, we'll provide you all this stuff. You vote for us, right? That's what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. You okay with that? And now they can't hold up their end of the bargain. So why would you stay here? I bet you there's more self-deportations than they can even count. At this point, if I was not supposed to be here and I saw people getting rounded up, people who have been here 15 years getting rounded up, I would probably hightail it back. Because remember, whatever cards they gave them, they're no longer in control of. Trump's in control of it. So are there still balances on those cards? Did they give them cash in order to go into a hotel? Because if so, they still have their part of the deal. They still have some of the money. So why don't I just take off and go back to Mexico? At least I'll be safe there.
Wow. And then they will lose a lot of voters. The Democratic Party will lose a lot of voters.
And they would have a very difficult job if this is kicked out of reintroducing it into a new bill.
Yes.
Especially once things start normalizing.
Yes. So, like, in a nutshell, the Democratic Party wants to destroy democracy by importing voters.
Now, you know that. I know that. Many people know it. The reason why this is newsy to me is that the man with the biggest social media profile in the world and the man with the biggest podcast in the world just dropped those nuggets. They came together. They knew what the content of that show was going to be. And he just said that to Joe Rogan's huge audience, and the clips are everywhere. They can't stop this message from spreading. Wink, wink. Now it's out there to hundreds of millions of people. See, it's one thing because the media, they work by omission. If they don't say it, it doesn't get heard. They won't cover what President Trump says. They don't like to cover what the Republicans say. But this guy talks, and that other guy talks, they can't stop that messaging from going out there. So that made me wonder, was it time? Did President Trump signal to him in some way, shape, or fashion, go do it? It's now. Now we've got these people on their heels. We need to go for the jugular at this point. And you got the two biggest social media people in the world discussing the Democrats and how they want to destroy America. Even some liberals listen to Joe Rogan. This messaging, by him saying that, I think they spent like an hour together, by him saying this and coming out and saying they want to destroy America, to that kind of audience, that's huge.
And the Republican Party disagrees with that.
And the ruse is that if you don't accept what they're doing, then you're a threat to democracy.
Yes.
As they try to destroy democracy.
Yes.
By importing voters.
That is literally what they're doing.
And incentivizing people to only vote for them and overwhelming the system.
Yes. And by the way, it's a strategy that, if allowed to work, would work.
That's so true. And by the way, most people would know that. See, he's not talking to you. Neither of these two guys are talking to informed people like you. Everything he's saying, you're sitting back, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, of course. That makes complete sense. I knew they were trying to destroy America. I knew they were trying to regulate. It's those people. It's other people. It's younger people. It's people who don't listen to news. It's people who don't listen to conservative podcasters. This is reaching, and you have to see how Joe Rogan postures himself. Is it really? You think this is what they're doing? He knows damn well what they're doing. You guys have to have the cerebral insight to look at and say, these guys are tossing up softballs to each other, and each one of them are hitting them out of the park, knowing damn well what they're doing. Why did they do it the day, but this was yesterday, why did they do this the day before the SNAP benefits, as President Trump is out there saying all kinds of stuff, which we're going to cover.
And in fact, has worked. California is supermajority Democrat.
Yeah.
And there's so much gerrymandering that occurs. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I said at the time, like, I think that the reason for acquiring Twitter is because it was causing destruction at a civilizational level. I tweeted on Twitter at the time that it is it's worm tongue for the world. Like worm tongue from Lord of the Rings, where he would just sort of like whisper these, terrible things to the king, so the king would believe these things that weren't true.
King. King. He chose it. He paused and used his words carefully and used the word king to all these people. The same people that they keep calling Trump the king, and they didn't want, they had a big No Kings rally, but now they want the king to pay them and buy them their food. Which way do you want it here? You're not entitled to this food. You just don't get it because you want it. You have to be a part of proving that you're worthy of this benefit. And as he's talking about, what was it again? $44 billion. $44 billion is what he paid for X. And many people laughed at him. Many people said he wasted his money, which it's his money to waste. $44 billion to save the world. If you were involved in X or Twitter back then, you know what it was like. You said the wrong thing and poof, you were gone. You just weren't even seen from anymore. So many of my friends, so many people I interacted with just went poof overnight. Robin got booted, poof overnight. I don't know how I survived. I to this day, I don't know. Maybe because Obama follows me, they wanted me to stay there. But I don't know how I was able to continue when everybody around me started getting booted. And I know many of you may be new to X. You may be just since Elon came. I don't know if you were there back in old Twitter. But if he hadn't purchased Twitter, we would be in a completely different realm at this point. And I'm pretty sure the Democrats, if they get back in power, God forbid, he's done.
Unfortunately, Twitter really got like the woke mob, essentially. They controlled Twitter, and they were pushing a nihilistic, anti-civilizational mind virus to the world. And you can see the results of that mind virus on the streets of San Francisco, where downtown San Francisco looks like a zombie apocalypse.
If you remember, in case I should say, some of you may not know this. You may not know why X is called X. You may not know why he truly bought Twitter. And why he says that the nihilistic way that they tried to do things and the hive mind that they created was because his other son they got. His other son became a transformer and hates his father. His other son is why he swore to absolutely, just like President Trump wants to obliterate the deep state, Elon Musk has said, and it coincides with Trump's thinking, his objective with all of this is to obliterate the hive mind. And X is his other son. So this is, what I'm saying to you is, it was personal. What the Democrats did to him was extremely personal. It wasn't like RFK Jr. where they kicked him to the curb and said, we don't want you running. It wasn't like, what they did to Joe Rogan. This was personal. They took his son. And so that hive mind mentality has been his motivator. That's what he has wanted to obliterate. Just like Trump wants to obliterate the deep state, the hive mind virus is what Elon Musk has wanted to destroy.
It's bad. So we don't want the whole world to be a zombie apocalypse. But that's that was essentially, they were pushing this very negative, nihilistic, untrue worldview on the world, and it was causing a lot of damage.
Did you think you were going to be able to get more done than you were?
We did get a lot done,
right?
And Doge is still happening, by the way. The Doge is still underway. There's still waste and fraud being cut by the Doge team, so it hasn't stopped.
It's less publicized.
It's less publicized.
See, there's many people on our side who think that Doge stopped. Doge is still going on. It's just not, quote, as publicized. So many people may not be aware of that fact. They may not understand that Doge is still doing work and still doing things, but no longer are we finding out what they're doing. People have said, can we Doge Snap? Can we Doge Medicaid? Can we Doge this, and this? And we don't know. They stopped publicizing it. It is now somewhat of a secret agency within the government. And he's still running it. So if Doge is still running, and he's still running Doge, then he and Trump are obviously still working together. I mean, let me know your comments about that. Let me know if you see that as well. You can't have one without the other. If he's the head of Doge, technically, and Doge is still working, then i.e., they've got to be working together. I would think. You guys let me know what you think.
And they don't have like a clear person to attack anymore.
Well, it seems like once you stepped away.
They're basically, they applied immense pressure to me to stop it. So then I'm like, the best thing for me is to just, cut out of this. And in any case, as a special government employee, I could only be there for like 120 days anyway, something like that. So whatever the law says. So I could...
All right, so he just went past that real quick. The Democrats made it as though they chased Elon away. They also made it seem as though Elon and President Trump had a falling out. Well, the law said you couldn't be, quote, a special government employee for only so many days. After that, you have to become a government employee. Well, that was never going to happen. Elon Musk was never going to leave his businesses and become a government employee. So it was always a foregone conclusion that he wouldn't be there publicly. But there is no law against him advising, and directing and talking to people. That is what I think is happening.
I could only be there for 4 months as a special government employee.
One more thing that I have to talk to you about before you leave is the rescuing of the people from the space station, which we talked about. You were planning it the last time you were here. The lack of coverage that got in mainstream media was one of the most shocking things that I think
they
I've
totally
ever seen.
memory hold that thing.
Wild.
Yes,
because
it's
if it wasn't
it's
for
like
you,
it didn't exist.
Those people would be dead. They'd be stuck up there.
Well, they'd probably still be alive, but they'd be having bone density issues because of prolonged exposure to zero gravity.
Well, they were already up there for like 8 months, right?
Yeah.
Which is an insanely long time. It takes forever to recover just from that.
Yeah, they're only supposed to be at the space station for 3 to 6 months maximum. So
one of the things that you told me that was so crazy was that you could have gotten them sooner, but
but for political reasons, they did not want SpaceX or me to be associated with returning the astronauts before the election.
All the stuff that we're hearing about Arctic frost and all of these things that were patently illegal. This may not be illegal, but it was the most unethical thing that the Biden administration could have ever done. And the media won't even talk about it. The media didn't talk about it before the election. They let those astronauts sit there, risk their health. They're so worried about health, right? They're so worried about keeping people healthy. But they let these astronauts, basically scientists, sit there. Instead of calling Elon and saying, can you go get them? They wouldn't do it during the election because they didn't want that success to go on to Elon. So they were willing to sacrifice those people for the sole reason that they didn't want him getting credit. Not enough has been made about that. I'm pretty sure President Trump is extremely grateful that he went up there and got these people. Not a single word. In addition to that, the media never talks about Starlink. When they had the horrible hurricane, Helene, I think was the name of it, and people in Asheville, here in America, I'm not even talking about around the world. People in Asheville couldn't get online. He sent a whole boatload of Starlinks up there. This man has done so much for this country, and he's treated like a pariah, except by Trump. And I know it must hurt Trump to have to pretend like they're at arm's length. And there was a tweet here and a tweet there, but one of the things that and now you've come to understand, there's so much in terms of comms, signal, showing this but actually meaning that. What is this going on here? What's this discussion? What's that discussion? Because they know there's eyes trying to figure out what's going on. And now all of that hoopla has died down. And so it is probably easy for the two of them to work together on a consultant basis.
That is so wild that that's a fact. First
of
all, that even
we absolutely could have done it.
But even though you did do it, and you did it after the election, it received almost no media coverage anyway.
Yes, because nothing good can the media, which is essentially a folly of propaganda. The legacy mainstream media is a folly of propaganda machine.
So many nuggets here. You guys got to go watch the entire interview. Obviously, I couldn't take the entire interview, but you should go watch this entire interview. Again, he's not talking to you. Because I know some of you are like, yeah, we know they're propaganda. We know that they just are a verbal illusion for the Democrat Party. We know this. You know this. But the people they're talking to in this interview may not. This is essentially an offensive move. I don't know if it was initiated by Trump or Stephen Miller or Elon decided himself, but the two of these guys coming together and dropping these nuggets, hey, listen, the media is a propaganda. There are people who are watching this interview and went, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? They just say stuff to hurt Trump? They just say that to hurt America? They just say this stuff because the Democrats have no messaging? Yes. And now there's people, gazillion people who are watching this, maybe even for the first time because they're tuning into Joe Rogan and Elon Musk is on. Huge podcast. And they're hearing this for the first time. Where you come in is now you get to reinforce it. You get to push these clips out. They're all over the internet. As if any of the stuff he said right here is new. Most of us knew all of this. There's no surprise here. The only surprise is, and it's not really revealed, could these guys be working with Trump? Could they be told to go out and get this messaging now? Why now? That I can't answer. But I just found it odd that the day before the SNAP benefits went, they decided to do this podcast.
And so any story that is positive about someone who is not part of the sort of far left tribe will not get any coverage. So I could save a busload of orphans and it wouldn't get a single news story.
Yeah, it really is nuts. It was nuts to watch because even though it was discussed on podcasts and it was discussed on X and it was discussed on social media, it was a blip in the news cycle. It was very quick. It was
Yeah.
in and out. And because it was a successful launch and you did rescue those people, nobody got hurt, and there was nothing really there was no blood to talk about.
Right.
Just fucking in and out.
Yeah,
Gone.
yeah.
Now, in the chat, you guys can answer this yourselves and talk amongst yourselves about this, but how many of you know what they did to Rogan? You probably remember what they did to Elon. Do you remember what they did to Rogan? Remember when Rogan came out and he talked about after he caught the jabademic and what he took, and he said it worked and it made him healthy. And so he then began telling people, this is what I took. I don't care what they're saying. It's not horse paste. It actually worked. And they destroyed, obviously they didn't destroy Joe Rogan. They did everything they possibly could to try and destroy Joe Rogan. They called him every name in the book, called him a psycho, everything. Because he did something the Democrats didn't want to see happen. And then they, when Kamala wouldn't go on his podcast, they tried to destroy him then. Those two guys, as big as they are in the media world, even though Elon's not really a media guy, they were the target of many, many, many arrows, many legal attempts to try and shut down X. And of course, they went after Rogan just as hard. I'm not sure if you guys remember it. See, this was, for me watching this, it was like a walk down memory lane. I'm like, I cannot believe that these two guys came back together in a podcast after all that time and did that kind of an interview, which most of you, again, are probably looking at that and said, I already knew that, which then should tell you who the audience was for that. And if that's where we're heading, if people are going to begin getting activated again, then something big is coming. I mean, something really big is coming. All right, so I'm checking the monitor. Let me go ahead and refresh this in 1 second here and see if anything is going on. Sometimes this stuff will come on. I hate when my screensaver goes down on my other monitor. 1 second. Just wanted to check and see if anything is happening. As of right now, it looks like no feed is live. So let me segue and talk to you about Vitality from Brightcore. You see, COVID-19, cancer, diabetes, all of these kill far less than the number one killer in the United States, which is heart disease. Heart disease causes 1 in 4 deaths in the United States. Every 36 seconds, someone dies from a heart attack. So what can we do about it? Vitality from Brightcore contains 7 powerful, clinically proven and patented ingredients that work synergistically to naturally lower blood pressure. They balance cholesterol and blood sugar, improve circulation, and strengthen overall cardiovascular health. We put miles on our heart, just like our cars. And every capsule of Vitality is like turning back the odometer on your system. Anyone with high blood pressure or high cholesterol, anyone who wants to balance their blood sugar, or anyone with a family history of heart disease should be taking Vitality every day. Vitality is non-GMO, all natural, dairy-free, gluten-free, and 100% made in the USA by a company that truly believes in wellness and integrity. You guys know we've had the people from Brightcore on here many times, and I stand behind this company. I really believe in this company. I think it's a company that puts out top-notch products. I wouldn't talk to you about a product that I didn't think was actually worth your time and worth your money. And right now, you can get 25% off on Vitality with the code Barry. Let me just put that up there. If you go to mybrightcore.com/iHeartBarry, or for an even better deal, call Brightcore at 888-418-6738 for up to 50% off. Free shipping and even a free bottle of vitamin D3 with your order. Trust me, guys, you want to call these people. They really know their stuff. and they'll educate you about all this. And we'll make sure that this product is right for you. Again, that number and the website. The number is 888-418-6738. And you can go to mybrightcore.com/iHeartBerry. And this is a different product than kimchi. It's a whole different, they've got a bunch of different things. And starting next week, they gave me a whole bunch of product. One of their products is Fortify. And we're going to give away Fortify for free. So I got a whole bunch of free stuff coming up. Speaking of free stuff, now might be a good time to, I guess, let's give away a couple pieces of silver. Not to sound like Judas or anything, but let's go ahead and do that. Let me log in here and give away 2 ounces of silver. Let's see here. And I'm going to pick the winners. 1 second here. And if you guys haven't seen it, this is an ounce of silver right there. That's an ounce of silver, and it's right now probably worth about $47-48, and you won't have to worry about it at all. I mean, it's going to just give Ashley your address. Let me go here and pick the winner, randomize the selection, draw a winner, and the winner has been chosen. And we're looking at Julie Goldsmith. Julie Goldsmith, you are the next winner of an ounce of silver. Let me see if I can put it up on the screen and get it up here so you guys can see it. I don't want to give up her her personal information. That's one thing. Yep, there we go. Julie Goldsmith. Julie, you want a free ounce of silver. All right, so Julie, that's the first one. Let's go ahead and do the second one real quick. And let's pick this one. This one is going to be, where is it? Hold on. Oh, pick a winner. Pick the winner. Hold on a second. It's asking me to randomize and do that. Draw the winners. Okay, here we go. Winner has been chosen, and the next winner is Tanya Glover. Tanya E. Glover, you have won a free ounce of silver too. So Tanya and Julie, congratulations. You have silver coming your way. All you got to do to get ready is to make sure Ashley has your address. You put your email and you put your phone number in it. She's going to contact you, but we need obviously your mailing address. People have asked me, do you have to re-enter? Nope. If you're in the system, you're in the system. All the way back from people who have won hoodies, who've asked for Bibles, everything else. If you're in the system, you will be available to be chosen to get some silver. So don't worry about it. If you've already applied for something or entered, we got you. We got you. If it works, it works. All right, I'll be right back.
It's genius. It's pure genius. America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. We're going to work hard. We're going to win it.
Why do so many financial experts call silver the most undervalued asset today? Because silver is essential to the future, from solar tech and electric vehicles to the explosive growth of artificial intelligence. Demand is rising fast, and yet silver is still trading at a bargain. With billions pouring into AI, silver prices have only one place to go, and that's up. In fact, silver may be the most overlooked asset class in financial planning. The opportunity for silver is well documented. The market for silver could double or even triple by 2026. You see, I believe in hard assets like this bar of silver. You can hold it in your hand, you can put it in your IRA, you can put it in your home safe, and relative to gold, it's very affordable. That's why I urge you to call my friends at Lear Capital and get their free report, The AI Revolution, and see why silver prices could be set to soar. Call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. But don't wait. We all know. We've seen it. The government can print lots and lots of dollars, but they can't print silver. All right, so President Trump made a couple posts. The first one is basically a housekeeping post. Tomorrow night, Sunday night, he will be interviewed on 60 Minutes. So what I'm probably going to do tomorrow night is, if you show that, they will completely shut you down for copyright. Except I can do it on Rumble. So what I may do is go live at 6:30 on YouTube, and then we can do the Rumble jump over. I'll figure out the time. But if I go on Rumble, I can get it. I can show you the entire interview. So let's plan on watching 60 Minutes together tomorrow. I'll figure out the logistics and the timing. I'll probably go live at 6:30ish, do some things, then we'll jump over to Rumble and watch the entirety of that show. That's my plan. I got to test it out. You'll see me post something about it if I can put that together. But now, more importantly, I think President Trump is really going to try and get this filibuster nuked. He's pushing it way too hard, unless this is a head fake. He posted this, and I think I know why he posted it. Let's look at this. Remember, Republicans, regardless of the Schumer shutdown, the Democrats will terminate the filibuster the first chance that they get. They will pack the Supreme Court, they will pick up the 2 states, and add at least 8 electoral votes. Their 2 objectives are gone. Don't be weak and stupid. Fight, 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 win, win. We will immediately end the extortionist shutdown. How are you going to do that? Get all of our agenda passed and make life so good for Americans that these deranged Democrat politicians will never again have the chance to destroy America. Republicans, you will rue the day that you didn't terminate the filibuster. Be tough, be smart, and win. This is much bigger than the shutdown. This is the survival of our country. Pretty much sounds like he's absolutely serious that it's time to go ahead and nuke the filibuster. Why do you think he said that? That was posted. Let me just show you that again for 1 second. That was posted at 5:47 p.m. So at 5:47 p.m., President Trump posts, "We got to do it." Why do you think he posted that today? After yesterday, and when John Thune got weak feet, his knees started shaking, and Mike Johnson started shaking. Hey, we can't do that. Well, the two top guys, J.D. Vance and President Trump, have both now come out strongly and said we have to nuke the filibuster. The survival of our country is dependent upon it. They're gonna go in and go after the Supreme Court. Why would he have posted that at 5:47 tonight? Because probably he was at Mar-a-Lago and he saw something happen that really ticked him off, because I think the Democrats are tipping their hand. I want you to see something. This got said today. They took this guy out of mothballs and put him on a stage in Virginia.
You know, a lot of people have asked me lately whether I'm surprised by the direction the country's taken. And even though I am the hope and change guy.
Yeah, sure.
I try to be honest with them. So I say, yes, there are things I am worried about. I am worried about how quickly basic democratic rules and norms have been weakened. I'm worried about how willing Republicans in Congress have been to surrender their role as members of a co-equal branch of government, refusing to buck the president even when they know he's out of line. Even when a lot of them will privately admit that power is being abused in ways that will hurt their constituents and hurt the country. I worry about a Supreme Court that, so far at least, has shown no willingness to check this administration's excesses, even when those actions break legal precedent.
He got on stage in front of all these sycophants, these trained SEALs, and told people he's worried about the Republicans. He's worried about the direction that Trump is taking, even though there's some privately who tell me that Trump's, he's doing the wrong thing, but I can't say it publicly. And he's worried about the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court that's about to come down and give him a victory that is essentially going to destroy the Democrat Party. He knows this. He knows that's why he's out. He's not out there for Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. He's out there to rile people up and say, we've got to do something. If you're not paying attention, the Supreme Court's going to give him what he wants. There is no check. There is no balance. He's running roughshod over them. Now remember, there's 9 Supreme Court justices. So when he's talking about, he's not talking about Ketanji Jackson and Sotomayor and Kagan. He's talking about the other 6. He's letting everybody know they're doing bad. What about when they rule for you guys? Oh, that's just mistakes. They're mostly bad. I worry about them. Why are you out of office, a former president, two elections removed, worried about what the Supreme Court is doing, and then in the same breath saying the Supreme Court isn't following the law? He's pointing at the Supreme Court and saying they're not following the law. A former president in front of all these trained SEALs is saying that. And if you look closely, that was at 3:51 p.m. today. And then President Trump posted that. You got to get this filibuster done. President Trump posted about the filibuster at 5:47. He saw this. He saw this and said, you guys can't let this happen. You can't possibly let these people even remotely get back in power. We are at the precipice of all-out you-know-what. The Jacksonian thing that we've been talking about. We have too many limp-wristed Republicans in certain offices who aren't ready to go for the jugular. And I don't mean physically. I'm talking about politically. To politically stomp these people out. You've got them on the run. And now you can actually finish your opponent. Finish them off. There will be no Democrat Party. What are you waiting for? What do you mean they'll get back in control and use it against us? Yeah, they will. And the way to make sure that doesn't happen is to nuke the filibuster. They will never win another election. Not in my lifetime. Probably not in yours. So what are they worried about? If you make voter ID the law of the land, they'll never win. What are you worried about them getting back in power? And like J.D. Vance said yesterday, we cannot run our administration based upon what the Democrats might do if they get mad. We've already seen what they'll do. They've been telling you, and he told you at 3:51 today.
And seem to defy the bedrock principle that no one is above the law.
Just minutes ago, we got breaking news that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has officially filed articles of impeachment against Justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas. That comes just after Senators Sheldon Whitehouse and Ron Wyden made a formal request to DOJ. They want a special counsel appointed to criminally investigate Supreme Court Justice Thomas for accepting travel and the loan of a luxury car from wealthy donor friends. NBC's Ryan Noble still with us on Capitol Hill. MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin is here with me. Okay, Ryan, what do we know about these impeachment articles? I know this story just broke. What happens next?
So this comes from, as you rightly point out, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York City, and she's filed 2 articles of impeachment against Justice Samuel Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas. And these articles of impeachment are not based in any of the decisions that either of these 2 justices have made, but instead specifically about their conduct around the office. For instance,
all right, so this was July and August of 2024, last year. Unfortunately for her, the Democrats didn't win the election. They were setting it up to destroy the Supreme Court. They really felt that Kamala was going to win. And if Kamala was going to win, they were going to get rid of these Supreme Court justices. And now, the true leader of the party, she may have been the true leader back then, But as a so-called true leader right now that everyone's supposedly afraid of, that Chuck Schumer has shut the government down for, if they were to get back in power, of course they would do it again, and even worse. So why wouldn't you use a filibuster? They already showed you. They showed you, and they continue to show you what they will do if they get in power. And I don't understand Republicans who are like, well, we shouldn't use it because they might use it against you. They already were. There's no news flash here. They already planned on doing it to you.
Both Thomas and Alito's case, she is accusing them of not properly disclosing financial benefits and gifts that they were given by donors and others, and in some cases people that had business before the court or even had a vested interest, a political interest in some of the issues before the court. And she's also doing that in the case of Clarence Thomas, saying that he refused to recuse himself from certain cases that his spouse had a vested interest in as well. His wife, Ginny Thomas, of course, was very much involved in the Stop the Steal effort, the efforts to overturn the 2020 election and things.
Very much involved. As MSNBC says, she was very much involved. Why? Because she donated to them? They were stacking the case. They knew where they were headed. Many of you may have forgotten about this. President Trump didn't. President Trump is reminding everybody on a daily basis, you idiots, they're going to destroy America if you let them back in power. Use the filibuster. Be done with it. We won't hear this crap anymore. Will they cry and whine? Sure. But if you go ahead and nuke the filibuster, and as President Trump says, pass the agenda. What's the agenda? Voting rights, deportations, going through SNAP and Medicaid and cleaning it up. Do it. The entire country is based right now on trying to fix this stuff before time runs out.
Along those lines. Also, she is accusing Justice Alito as well of refusing to recuse himself from certain cases of which he may have a conflict of interest. So these are very specific accusations that Ocasio-Cortez is leveling against these two Supreme Court justices. It comes at a time where Democrats are getting increasingly frustrated about the direction of the court, obviously the decisions that this court has rendered over the past couple of months, but also...
Okay, so go back to what Obama said. He's worried that the Supreme Court won't follow the rule of the law because he interprets the law differently. It's fine if they say this or that and you like it, but when you don't like how they render a decision, then it's not checking Trump. It's not stopping Trump. It's not about stopping Trump. It's about what is the law. Not about these judges and saying, hey, listen, you got to pay the people no matter what, and you can't check ID. They're just making it up as they go because they don't care. You imagine if every one of these district court judges, that all their decisions that are being overturned by the Supreme Court, that's what he's talking about. The checks and balances that Obama wants to see is what these district court judges are doing. And they're pissed off because they keep getting overturned. As crazy as they are, as crazy as it sounds, you got to go ahead and pay it no matter what. You can't check ID. Well, you have to be an American to vote. How do we know if you're an American if I can't check the ID? Sorry. That's the kind of thing they want upheld. And it's driving them nuts because this court's like, you can't do that.
The conduct of these Supreme Court justices and the lack of oversight that they apparently seem to have without any kind of specific code of ethics that they must follow.
The nation. They don't have any code of ethics. The Supreme Court justices don't have any code of ethics. I bet you, though, the other 6 could tell you what a woman is, unlike Ketanji Jackson. That's what they want for America. This is her last year, the leader of the Democrat Party here.
Was changing, and it was changing to more fully realize our country's promise, a democracy for the people, by the people, with liberty and justice for all. But this new world, a multiracial democracy with civil and economic rights enshrined in American society, threatened the power of the very people who relied on this discrimination and subjugation of others. These wealthy, conservative men knew that they could not win the argument on merits. Chairman, Ranking Member Raskin, it's an honor to be here today for us to convene and discuss arguably one of the most critical issues before American democracy today. And with respect to law school, maybe if you're my professor, Mr. Ranking Member, I'd be happy to explore the possibility. But back to the matter at hand. The Supreme Court is currently facing a grave crisis of legitimacy, and it is a crisis of its own making. About 50 years ago, a group of powerful, wealthy, conservative operatives looked around and realized that they were losing. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act had passed, prohibiting discrimination in the United States on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. In 1970, at a time when rivers were literally catching fire from...
They were literally catching fire. This is a year ago, before the election. They've had this plan all along. There is no reason to think that they wouldn't pick it up all over again. And every time I show some of this craziness from the left, people say, why do you show this, Barry? Well, I keep trying to tell you, this is the mind of your opponent. Your opponent that wants to destroy America, wants to destroy the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. They know if they take the Supreme Court, you're done. I'm done. Pack up somewhere and move to wherever we can, but it would be a hellhole. And this is what we're facing. And President Trump is ringing the bell, sounding the alarm. Nuke this. Don't give this any air.
Pollution. The federal government created the Environmental Protection Agency, finally taking a measure of responsibility for the health and safety of working people and our climate, and confronting polluters and corporations in the process. And most alarmingly to these men, 3 years later, in 1973, the Supreme Court decided Roe v. Wade, giving women reproductive freedom, enshrining a right to privacy, and marking a major advancement for bodily rights and autonomy. The nation was changing, and it was changing to more fully realize our country's promise, a democracy for the people, by the people, with liberty and justice for all. But this new world, a multiracial democracy with civil and economic rights enshrined in American society, threatened the power of the very people who relied on this discrimination and subjugation of others.
I'm black. I don't feel subjugated. In fact, I haven't felt this free in quite a long time. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but it's nice to know that there's not some anvil hanging over our heads. And you can tell by the words she uses what they're looking to do. It's multiracial, multicultural, this thing that she wants, this socialist utopia where corporations and business mean nothing. And it's all about the collective. And they need the Supreme Court to make it happen. And once Roe v. Wade got overturned, oh no, we can't do that anymore.
These wealthy, conservative men knew that they could not win the argument on merits. So they hatched a plan to manufacture a structural assault on the American judicial system. In 1973, the same year as Roe v. Wade, the Heritage Foundation was born, and with it, a decades-long scheme to push back on these ideals and cement a hierarchy that these men, the elite 1%, could remain on top.
I show this because it bothers me how she's characterizing successful people, rich white men, the 1%. I don't know if you guys have ever looked at what that means. Who exactly is in the top 1%? Who are in the top 1% of wage earners in this country? It may not be what you think. We're not talking about Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg or Elon. The top 1% is completely different than how they're trying to portray it. And it's changing. Let me just make sure I verify. I believe the top 1% of wage earners now is anybody making over $400,000. Let me just verify that. Top 1%. And you guys can verify this. The top 1% of income, the top 1% of earners is at least $787,000. $787,000 sounds like a lot of money to people who are looking for SNAP benefits. $787,000 in today's numbers is not a whole lot of money. Remember, if you're making $787,000 gross, you're probably only taking home $450,000, which still sounds like a lot. But that's not mega rich. You're not buying a yacht if you make $415,000, $420,000 in a year. You still have all your other bills, your home, your vehicles, your kids' schooling. You may be able to put your kids in a better school. You may be able to drive a better car. You may be able to afford a better house. But you're a long way away from rich. And some of you guys may disagree, but it's not being rich. So when you say the top 1%, you are basically cutting off the knees or looking to cut off the knees of the people who are producing in this country. If you keep saying the 1% is the problem, what happens when there is no more 1%? Now, I'm not talking about the 10th of 1% like Elon and Bezos and what's the other, Zuckerberg and NVIDIA, Jensen. I'm not talking about the super, uber wealthy. I'm talking about that benchmark of 1% that they've used for so many years. Because that 1%, why they keep talking about it? Because that's their target. That's where they want to go after. Now, imagine what the top 2% is. I bet you that drops it down to like 400, 300,000. They don't want that. They want to destroy success. They want the antithesis of what America stands for. And that's why they keep trying to talk it down. Oh, that 1%. Oh, those awful 1%ers.
To roll back our rights. Today, we're here to talk about how they did it and how we may win the struggle back for American democracy. They did not have popular support. They did not have elected office. But what they did have was money, and a lot of it. One of these men is Leonard Leo, who joined the fight in 1990. Leonard Leo became one of the movement to corrupt the court's most prolific fundraisers. Leo organized right-wing billionaires to shore up an infrastructure to influence the judicial nomination process and seats on the Supreme Court, wholesale. He funded group after group to spread his and his billionaire friends' reactionary ideology onto the American public.
So every billionaire that's not giving to a Democrat cause is a reactionary revolutionary. There's no good billionaires on the right side. All the good billionaires are on the left side because they support what you're saying, which they can't possibly support. See, that's an enigma wrapped up in a riddle, wrapped up in a mystery. If you are supporting, you make $1 billion, or you have $1 billion net worth, and you're supporting people like Mondami, you need to be checked for Stockholm Syndrome. You have to understand someone who's telling you, who wants to eat the lamb, that they will turn into vegetarians after the election. I'm not going to hurt you now. Thank you. Give me a couple $1 million to do this. I'm not going to hurt you. You can't vote your way out of socialism. This is an ordinary Democrat Party. This isn't a Democrat Party where you can sit back if you got $1 billion and decide, I'm going to change and go over here. This is a Democrat Party that wants to eliminate you even though you're feeding it. There's no way out. They can't accept. There can't be a loophole for you because then Fred could jump into it. So I don't understand these people in New York who are funding their own demise. I posted a video, which I can't dare post here, earlier today on X. And it was a picture in a video in England. You know, in England where they welcomed all the tolerant people. The people that just probably a couple weeks ago were marching on their behalf. Hey, come on in to London, Londonistan. And there happened to be a few Transformers walking down the street. Well, they beat the hell out of them. These were the same people they were sticking up for and said, we got to be more diverse, bring them all in. Go look, it's on my profile. And they beat the hell out of them. That you can't expect the wolf to turn into a vegetarian. The wolf is going to pretend he's not hungry, and then when he's in, he's going to eat you. And so all these kids walking around with their sweaters on and their scarves, and you know, Trump sucks and America sucks, believe them. Believe them. But the problem is, they are just idiots. Useful idiots. They don't realize that there are people sitting back there, they don't even know. They don't even know what's about to happen, do they? Nope. Yeah, go out there, river to the sea, do all that stuff. And with your pink hair and your buddies in the drag and everything, go do that. Ask those people in London how they feel today. Ask those people in London who are completely shell-shocked and wondering, wait a minute, I was sticking up for you guys. Oh, thank you. Now we just got to whip your butt. Or worse. Go see it. It's on my profile. These are the same people that were cheering for them. Bring more in. And now look at you. And that's Mandami's friend right there.
These right-wing billionaires include characters such as oil and gas magnate Charles Koch, hedge fund manager Paul Singer, and Nazi paraphernalia collector Harlan Crow, the son of the quote-unquote biggest private landlord in the United States.
You know, most of us, you know, me, I've been in real estate. I applaud the biggest landlord in the United States. That's something to aspire to be. I didn't know it was a negative. Well, I guess, unfortunately, he's on the right. But speaking of Nazis, how is this guy running for Democrat in Maine who they caught when he took his shirt off, a big old Nazi symbol on his chest? But that's okay. He made a mistake. He knows better now. His mistake was taking his shirt off.
These billionaires have never been elected to public office. They are not our leaders and are unknown by the vast majority of Americans. And yet, they worked with shadowy, extremist, right-wing figures led by Leonard Leo to create a corruption ring of influence that reached the highest levels of our country and our courts.
I wish the people behind her would slip a note. Hey, have you ever heard of this guy named George Soros? I just wonder, how about Reid Hoffman? You ever heard of those billionaires? I mean, seriously, you got two names right there. Have you ever heard of them? What do they do for the Democrat Party? This is dangerous.
These billionaires hatched a plan to use massive floods of anonymous donations, political obfuscation, and outright gifts and ethics violations to reshape the courts. And so far, to this day, they have experienced success. Let's be clear. Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito are deeply subject to and are exacting the agenda of these billionaires. And they act like it. Just look at Clarence Thomas, whose corruption is almost comical. Secret trips to retreats, international vacations on super yachts, and private jet jaunts to New Haven for an afternoon.
Do you guys remember a former president who used to hang out with the guy who created Virgin, Richard Branson? I'm pretty sure there are all kinds of videos of Barack Obama hanging out with, oh no, dare we say, a billionaire. A billionaire who used to invite him into his home and take him around to his resorts and fly him around and all kinds of things. And nobody said a word. But she's targeting the Supreme Court justice, a black man, by the way. Oh my God, a successful black man, but he's not black enough because, he's on the wrong field. Remember, President Trump posted at 5:47 tonight, we gotta nuke this stuff. You got a hive of hornets that is growing and growing and growing. You can't think we can't hit the hornets because they might sting us. You got to go get those hornets and put a flamethrower at them. I can't understand Republicans right now who don't understand where we are, where things are in this country right now, and I don't understand people like Rand Paul and Massey, the deals they've made with devils at this point. This is a zero-sum game. There's nothing left. This is it. Does that sound dire? Well, it's meant to. It's meant to wake everybody up, like President Trump said. Stop it. Why is he the only one bearing that flag?
Here in Congress, we are forbidden from receiving gifts that exceed $50. But Justice Thomas has received more than $4 million in gifts, largely undisclosed, since joining the court.
Liar.
And worse, it appears to be working. He is currently primed to overturn his own 2005 doctrine so he can side with Charles Koch's network and their oil and gas interests, the same Charles Koch who he secretly vacationed with at the retreat.
If it was a secret, you would know about it. Sort of like your secret when you said Florida sucks and then they found you down here on South Beach. And people were taking pictures. Oh, there's Sandy getting some pizza in Florida. Your secret vacation that nobody wanted to talk about. That back then, people tried to get the pictures taken down. Yeah, you remember.
Take Justice Alito, whose quote-unquote friendship with billionaire Paul Singer, along with more undisclosed gifts and private jet trips, was followed by a shift in the court's decision to take up Singer's own case. Coincidentally, after Justice Alito took an unreported fishing trip to Alaska with Singer, the Supreme Court reversed their position and took up his case, ultimately leading Singer to a victory netting $2.4 billion. This was not a bad return on Singer's $80 million in political donations, a fishing trip, and a couple bottles of $1,000 wine.
As she's going through this, I want you to imagine she's an actress. She didn't put any of this together. She's absolutely reading line by line a script that somebody handed to her. She doesn't know any of this. My point being, it's always the people in the shadows. It's the people behind these people. As I said, I think a couple days ago, Maxine Waters has never wrote a single bill. I doubt Nancy Pelosi has ever wrote a single bill. I'm pretty sure she didn't write anything. The problem we have, and I think this is what's causing so much of the horror for these people, is President Trump isn't looking at them. When he said, I want to obliterate the deep state, he wants to obliterate the people who write this crap. These shadow people who are writing these documents, who are writing these laws, and get these idiots to come out here and talk about them. Elizabeth Warren, you've seen these people talk. They can't string sentences together. When people walk up to them with a microphone, what do? They run. I'm like, you have the opportunity. Someone's asking you a question, and instead of answering a question, you put your head down and run. Why is that? Why do the American people never realize these people can't speak outside of 100% scripted things? That's why most of the people on the left can't do podcasts. They can't sit there and read the whole time. Yeah. No, you actually have to know what you're talking about, have an opinion, vocalize it without having to read every single thing. So when he's talking about destroying the deep state, it's the people back there who you're not seeing.
And of course, in 2022, these billionaires and their handpicked justices won their keystone victory against the American people and their progress as a society. They overturned Roe v. Wade. So why was it abortion? Why was the threat of women having freedom powerful enough to bring down our whole system of judicial ethics and cripple one of the three co-equal branches of government? That is because these rich and powerful men are in an existential fight for a status quo that enshrines their power and places them above the American public in the rules. The confluence of money and conservatism.
Confluence. She probably can't spell confluence. I'm pretty sure she's never used the word confluence in a sentence. Everything you're seeing on the Democrat Party and some of the stuff that you're seeing from the Republican Party is nothing but a giant parade. It is an act. It is a curtain call. They don't even know what the hell they're talking about. But whoever's pulling the strings behind them is going to do whatever they can to stomp us out. They almost tried. I mean, they almost did. That whole thing with the auto pen that still has to come out. Who was engineering all of that? Wait till that comes out. It's going to freak people out. Who was running the country? If we know it wasn't Biden, and we probably think, well, some people think it might have been Jill. In either case, it seems as though from some of the testimony I've seen, none of the people who were close to him had any clue what was going on. They were saying they hadn't seen him, and they'd have a meeting once every couple months. So who was running things? And it's just still out there, waiting to come out. I think that's what they're terrified as well, because if these pardons and everything that was executed by the auto pen goes away, all hell's going to break loose. Everything is going to fold on this party. And so we got elections in the next 3 or 4 days in Jersey, Virginia. You got the Minneapolis mayor who's a socialist. And I can tell you right now, come Wednesday of next week, they're going to say that the Virginia election and the New Jersey election are repudiations of Trump. I hope Jack Shackertelli, whatever his name is, I hope he can pull it out. But Mikey Sherrill and the Amsparger girl in Virginia, they win. She's already said, I'm not working with Trump. Mondami, you're going to hear more about him in a little bit. They don't care. And so they are going to gird your loins. I'm telling you, Wednesday morning, the narrative will be, this is a repudiation on Trump. That people decided they don't want what Trump is. They want Marxism, socialism, communism. Watch what happens in Minneapolis. These people are morons. They're going to vote this guy in who can barely speak words, who's waving Somali flags. They're going to bring in Zoran Mondami, who has said some of the most ludicrous stuff, coached by her or whoever her coach is
no coincidence. And we are here today to connect the dots. The group behind the Dobbs Challenge was predictably funded by who else but Leonard Leo, and found a friendly court in front of right-wing extremists. And we've also seen, as well as the conservative justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. After all, these justices clearly continue to agree to this bargain by continuing to accept and engage in this ring of influence and financial persuasion. This brings us to the crux of the matter and why we're holding this hearing today. The Supreme Court, as it stands today, is delegitimizing itself through its conduct.
So what do you do to something that's delegitimized? What do you do when you find something that is no longer relevant, is no longer working the way it's supposed to work? Because that's what she's saying. It's no longer something that should be. It needs to be destroyed. This was last year. But this is what Obama was talking about today at 3:25 p.m. They now have set their targets because they can't win elections. They can't get their ideology is so disgustingly bad for the country. They cannot overcome what is happening nationally. Kids turning to Christ, more people looking to get married and have kids, food stamps stopping. The only way to fix it is to get rid of this delegitimate, or rather illegitimate, court.
Americans are losing fundamental rights in the process. Reproductive health care, civil liberties, voting rights, the right to organize, clean air and water, because the court has been captured and corrupted by money and extremism. There is no one decision that determines the court's legitimacy. Instead, it's the entire strategy that led us to this point. A group of anti-democratic billionaires with their own ideological and economic agenda has been working one of the three co-equal branches of government. And let's be clear, the Supreme Court is a co-equal branch of government. They do not reign supreme over Congress or the White House. This is a very core crisis of legitimacy, and it is a core crisis within the court, of our multiracial democracy, and of who we are as a country.
What the hell color? How does race matter? How does race matter in regards to the Supreme Court? This multiracial democracy, why do you keep saying that? What is so important with that term, multiracial? Because she's probably alluding to the fact that the Supreme Court, in addition to its delegitimization, is also racist. This is how they feel. This is what they really think they're going to do, is to get rid of the Supreme Court.
The responsibility for the erosion of the court not only lies in the court, it lies in Congress. And it's not just what they do, but if we let it happen. And we cannot allow this to happen. We must treat this moment like the emergency it is, and use every tool in our democracy's arsenal to fight back. The future of our democracy depends on it.
So they want to do away with the Supreme Court, as echoed and underscored by President Obama, or former President Obama, earlier, which caused President Trump, again I'll show it to you, to post this at 5:47 p.m. There's the timestamp. Let's read this again together. Regardless of the Schumer shutdown, the Democrats will terminate the filibuster the first chance they get, and they will pack the Supreme Court. They'll pick up 2 states and add at least 8 electoral votes. Their 2 objectors are gone. Don't be weak and stupid. We will immediately end the extortionist shutdown, get all of our agenda passed, and make life so good for Americans that these deranged Democrat politicians will never again have the chance to destroy America. And then he gives the warning, Republicans, you will rue the day that you didn't terminate the filibuster. You will rue the day. Be tough, be smart, and win. This is much bigger than the shutdown. This is the survival of our country. I don't see how any Republican, anybody here watching, anyone in the chat, I don't see how anyone can't see what he's saying right there. He watched what they were doing. He went through it himself with the multiple impeachments and everything else. The weaponization, the arrest, the trials. He said it many times. I'm just in the way. I don't understand what some of these Republicans are worried about. The whole notion of, well, if we do it, they might do it to us, makes absolutely no sense because there will be no them. You will never have to worry about them doing it because they would be gone. And the first thing you have to believe in, which is why I showed that stuff, is because if they get the chance, they will most assuredly do it. They won't hesitate. We can't let that happen. Everything that you've worked for, everything that you've done in your life will be gone. You'll have a nation of Mandamis all over the place. Let's take a few comments here. Official call to arms, use the nuclear option. That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what President Trump did. That was an official call to arms. Don't be stupid. You will rue the day. Make it happen. It was a Democrat. They will do it regardless. Hold the line, Republicans. And at this point, forget holding the line. Go forward. Nuke them. Take them out. You'll never get rid of the Supreme Court, Cortez. You aren't the head of this country. God is. Yeah. Hey, Maximus, how are you doing out there? We have to go all the way scorched earth. I don't know why people... I understand. Yes, let me rephrase this. I do understand why some people are leery of this, because it is nuclear. I mean, the word that it stands for, nuclear, it is. It is a big, big step in this country. There have only been certain times. The revolution. The revolution itself. I'm sure there were people huddled in rooms across the country. Do we really want to do this? And people felt it was strong enough. Well, we're going to have to do it. Family against family, brother against brother, city against city. We have to do it. And we prevailed. The South fell. And every once in a while, these things rise up. And they have to be quelled, and they have to be quelled by strong, deliberate men and women who are like, we're not going to live this way. And we can see what's going on around the world, and it ain't happening here. Plus, you've stolen so much money from us. We go to work 5 or 6 months out of the year just to pay these. I'm telling you, these videos with these welfare queens has been so eye-opening for so many people. It was the stupidest mistake they could do. Yeah, I get $2,000 a month. Nails, hair, eyelashes. Bad. Absolutely bad. Pins popping a lot of AOC balloons. They should be. This is what it means to stand strong with God and Jesus Christ. Barry, where did you put your comments on Rumble that you couldn't put on YouTube recently? I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. What comments? Let's see here. Illegals are losing free stuff. That's what everything is about. They can't win unless they have them. Completely. They're done. They're done. And talk about the economy. Just imagine at this point that some of these people are going to have to go to work. You're not getting free stuff means you're going to have to get off your duff and go to work, which is going to start fulfilling some of these jobs. They're wondering, where are they? It's going to have to go to work. If you want to eat, you got to work. I posted a video today that some lady was complaining about free stuff because they wouldn't allow her to buy junk food. I don't know what state she was in, but she had to buy, oh my God, vegetables and meat. How am I supposed to survive on this? So I'm like, anybody want to tell this woman? That is your survival. You're lucky they didn't hand you a box with beans and rice and say, good luck. There's a lot of protein in some of those beans. It's free. You're complaining. Oh my gosh. It's absolutely insane what some of these people think. All right. So I haven't seen any change in the feeds, and they were like, it might be possible, but it doesn't look like he's going to do it live. So I might have to cover it tomorrow when I get the clips. But in any event, before we go and close, I haven't done one of these in a while. Let's look at the 10.
Here's the big finish. 10 stories that you just gotta hear. Number 10.
Yeah, well, I mean...
All right, before she goes, here they come again. And this one is even more recent. This is AOC and Jamie Raskin again.
Of course, Justice Alito's position is laughable in this idea that he can be, and that the court should be accountable to nobody, and that the only person that they should be accountable to are themselves. This kind of Scout's promise sort of setup for how we should be having ethics standards for the highest and most consequential court in the land. It is completely unacceptable. And not only is it unacceptable, but to have any one of our co-equal branches be completely unaccountable to the others is paving the path to authoritarianism, tyranny, the abuse of power in the United States, and it is structurally completely unsustainable. And so it is not a question of if Congress has jurisdiction and power over the Supreme Court. It is what power are we going to exercise in order to...
She just said they were co-equal. Then in the next sentence, she said it's not a question if we have power over the Supreme Court. It's how are we going to execute it? But you just said you were co-equal, meaning you don't have power over the Supreme Court. Which one is it? And by the way, are you scrutinizing all of these district court judges who seem to think that they've been elected president? Oh no, that's fine. They're going after Trump. Not a word from any Democrat in relation to or regards to anything that these district court judges have done for the last 10 months. Quiet as church mouse. Don't say nothing about that. But these other ones, the Supreme Court, oh, we got to tear this down. We got to assume control. How do you assume control over supposedly a co-equal branch of government?
Rein in a fundamentally unaccountable and rogue court.
So she wants to rein it in. You've heard it. You've heard her say it a bunch of times. You heard Obama say it today, and you've seen President Trump's reaction. So now you've got to push. You've got to push everybody to accept we don't have a choice but to nuke them with the filibuster. Just do away with it. Do away with it. Let it roll. I don't think people realize how good this country will be if the Democrats are completely rendered useless. If they are completely neutered, how good this country could be. That, in my mind, would truly make America great again.
9.
Which, by the way, while Americans suffer and kids go hungry, he's building a $300 million gold-plated ballroom. He's found money for $170 million of new private jets for Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security. He's found money for all sorts of things that are important to him and his family, and he has enriched himself by several $billion this year alone through his meme coins, through his digital currency that he's issuing.
Is that illegal? Is it illegal to make money? You know, it's not him personally because he's not allowed to. He is divested. Lie. The ballroom. Lie. It's private donations. The jets. Allowed by government rules. Everything they do is lie. Everything that the media does is just look the other way and let them lie. They know they're lying. You know the Democrats are on the ropes when they're lying this much. When they're trying to say, there was something that Amy Klobuchar put out today, kids are starving. And my post was, they're starving before their EBT got cut off? What is it, sudden starvation syndrome? You just all of a sudden, I got no food. You're telling me that you've been shopping at a store for months or years, getting free stuff, and all of a sudden on November 1st, there's nothing in the house. It's all gone. No food. You're starving. I'm pretty sure the body can live a little bit longer. And by the way, if there's no food in the house, the problem isn't Trump. The problem isn't the food stamps. The problem is you let it happen. You've been driving a car and the gas meter has been on empty and then it ran out. You've seen it You've seen it go like this, down. And you let it happen. So, but they're trying to blame people. It doesn't work. I say this every Saturday. I sat and watched Ohio State trounce Penn State. I sat and watched this game, that game, and I'm seeing 70, 80,000 people in the stands. Thursday night, I went to watch the Dolphins get stomped. I bring that up because people are living their lives. The Democrats can't accept that. They can't accept that this many people are upset. Because that's what the media talks about all day, all night, 24/7. The reason why I talk about it alternatively is because I'm encouraging you to go live your life. Enjoy prosperity. Enjoy what is being given to you and the opportunity and clearing things out of the way. Let them mire into BS.
Foreign leaders and foreign investors are investing in without any oversight whatsoever. That is what's happening in America today.
Number 8.
People losing their health care, their costs are going up. This guy ran on a platform of bringing down the cost of the American people, and he's a failure. He's a failure. Costs continue to rise, but take solace in this. As you, the American people, are paying more and more for your everyday lives, Donald Trump's economy is going great. His personal economy is great. He's building a $200 million ballroom for himself.
And every single one of those people stand behind him are standing there and they're nodding and lying to themselves. They know they're playing a role. They know they're acting in a movie. The problem is the people in the seats watching the movie know what he's saying not to be true. Hey, Fred, what was your gas price today? My gas is down. Oh. How are those eggs? Oh, it's pretty cheap. How you feeling? Yeah, you going to the Bears game? Yeah. People are living lives. They're talking to such a small subsection of the country because they have to. Their voter base are the newcomers and that small shrinking base of people who can't find or don't want to get ahead. Everybody else, I talk to people all the time. Robin talks to people. We just had the construction done here. I asked the guys who were here. The guy was legally from Brazil, who was putting the flooring in. How's business? I can't keep up. We have a handyman that does other things for us in here. Hey, when can I get you back? Next Thursday. Wow, dude. Everybody I talk to. Seriously, every single person. Hey, what do you got? I'm booked. I'm booked solid. We couldn't even get the mobile groomer that comes to the house and grooms Midas and Lily. When can you get there? Next Friday. They're booked. Business is booming, and now it's even worse. Now it's even worse. Pray for us, because now all the New Yorkers are coming down here. All the snowbirds, as soon as it got cold up there, they got out. They took off. And here they all come down here, beeping their horns and everything, going to the store, the mob, everything's mobbed. So when you're talking to people and saying everything's bad, you're talking to this subsection of the American, if it's American, of the people in this country. I know this for a fact. You know this for a fact. You can turn on whatever game is on right now in whatever state, and there's going to be 60 or 70,000 people here. If people were doing so badly in such a broad spectrum of people, even in California, I believe USC is playing tonight. It'll be packed. So where are all these people who it's awful. They're lying. And you can see it with your own eyes if you actually look. And I've told you this for months. I'll keep saying it. Every Saturday and Sunday, now it's every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can just turn on the TV and avoid the news and click on a game and go, damn, look at all those people. White, black, Hispanic, having fun. See, fun is the antithesis for Democrats. every time I show you something with the Democrats talking, they never talk about people enjoying life. It's all a downer.
He just got his 3rd Air Force One. He's making more money for himself and his family than he ever has in his whole life put together.
See, I'm not a big sartorial person. That means into wardrobes and things of that nature. I'm sure some of you ladies right now understand fashion. And as you look at the people behind him, Miss Legs over here on the left, she looks like she's got some designer clothes on. And I can see the bling from here. I'm looking at, bracelets and rings and all kinds of stuff. Then the lady sitting next to her has got a nice, pretty jacket on. She's also showing some bling, a bracelet on each hand. Oh, the woman next to her got a big-ass gold necklace. Let's see. And then you get guys in sport coats. They look broke. I'm just saying, I'm not a big fashion person. You see me in my t-shirts and my shirts and my hat. I'm not a big, even when I go out to dinner with Rob, she's like, what are you wearing? I guess whatever you tell me. Okay. And she'll go ahead and pick something out the closet. How many times she said, you're not wearing that. Well, why not? It's comfortable. Go back in there. Let's go. But anyway, you ladies know. You ladies know as you're watching it, and I like to be the one to point things out to people. They look broke. I'm just saying. Yeah, everything sucks. It's all Trump. But I'm looking at Legs there. She's got bracelets and rings, and the one next to her's got bracelets and rings. It's gold. It's shiny stuff. And you know what's up with gold right now, right? So if they were such a bad situation, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't be wearing all that bling. Just saying.
He doesn't give a rat's ass about you. Not in California, not in Texas. He only cares about himself. It is his underlying corruption that is responsible for the reason why you are struggling hard to make a living.
I had to play that. Because one, he said corruption. Imagine him saying corruption. Number two, as he's saying it, it's making it hard for you to make a living. And this blingity bling bling is right behind him. Oh, we're supposed to be broadcast, huh? Oh, sorry, let me take this stuff off. Maybe if you're going to tell people life sucks, you should have people in tatters behind you. Maybe they should be wearing like old torn Levi's and like, I don't know, hemp rings or something. Not sitting there blinging while you're telling the world life sucks. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe you didn't even notice it.
Number 7.
So is your message right now to Democrats in the Senate open to reopen the government and then get back to work? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I'm saying that the American workforce should be at work providing the services for the American people, and in the process, they should get paid because they're just like the rest of America. 65% of America live from paycheck to paycheck. And when these employees are providing the services for the American people, they should get paid so that they can make sure that there are single moms that I've talked to over the course of the last few weeks that need to make sure that they have child care taken care of. They need medication, mortgages are due, they need gas to put in their car to go to work. So sure, I'm saying that it needs to be resolved, and it needs to be resolved now.
You see, when they're losing these unions, and the unions are going on television, and they're letting people know this ain't right. You need to stop. On CNN with Jake Tapper, the guys from the union are like, open the government. Stop it. They're losing. They're completely losing.
Number 6.
I mean, we already saw there was an ICE action on Canal Street. They said they were targeting undocumented immigrants who were, selling counterfeit bags, which on Canal Street is kind of, there's a long history of that, obviously.
There's a long history of crime that we should continue to allow. Is that what you're saying, Anderson? Because nobody else fixed it. You shouldn't fix it now. Hey, everybody does it. This is the same network that says everybody does mortgage fraud. So anyway, everybody's out there doing it. Well, I remember they had a mayor before who cleaned it all up. there was a mayor, this guy called Rudy Giuliani, who stopped all that crap. So you can make it go away and not get used to it.
What do you do?
I think this is an example of what is unacceptable in this country. I think the first thing that you do is you close the door that Eric Adams opened to the NYPD doing civil immigration enforcement. He said that on national television. The second thing you do...
So you would not allow the New York Police Department to engage or to cooperate with ICE or DHS?
Not in civil immigration enforcement. We have sanctuary city laws where we've been very, very clear.
There's no such thing. So he's telling people in advance, you're not going to cooperate and not allow ICE to do its federally mandated job. These guys, I got no words.
Here that for a set of serious crimes, there is coordination with the federal administration, but anything beyond that, I think 172 crimes that are listed, that is something for the NYPD to focus on purely right here in New York City.
We know.
New Yorkers, I wish I could speak to more New Yorkers. Tuesday, this election, if you don't realize what's about to happen to your city, it's going to be too late. It is so bad. And I've been watching the different things said. He says something, he pulls it back. Kathy Hochul says something, she pulls it back. They don't know what they're doing. The people behind them that are pulling the strings can't speak for them. And so here's Kathy Hochul coming back and saying, no, he can't raise the taxes.
That Mamdani does want to tax the rich more, bring it up about 2%. He can't do that on his own. You've previously said that you wouldn't be raising taxes. Have you reconsidered that stance?
No, I would say one energetic rally does not get me to change my positions.
Okay. Mamdani keeps saying we're going to do all this free stuff. Well, how are you going to pay for it? We're going to raise taxes. No, you're the mayor. You're the mayor of one city, or going to be. You can't raise taxes. So everything he has said is absolutely BS. It won't happen. They're not going to allow you, she says, to raise taxes. Before, Kathy Hochul said, yeah, we will raise taxes. She must have got a whole lot of heat from the other boroughs and everything. Hey, that ain't gonna fly. And so now she's like, no, we're not gonna do it. So what are you electing? You're electing a placeholder who can't do anything.
Sure, okay. But I do hear people's voices. I process what everybody says, but I'm also have to balance governing this state and making sure that those people who are actually the reason we have a generous, supportive budget that helps lift people up. It's their revenues that we tax. 1.5% of New Yorkers cover about a third of our budget. That's enormous. I'm concerned about out-migration of people who are the ones who are supporting our budget.
She said this yesterday. You've had a long campaign, and now yesterday, I'm concerned about people leaving. They're telling me they're leaving. The businesses are telling me, we're out of here. And so now she comes out and says, nope, not going to raise taxes. These businesses will take off. This is the lifeblood of this state. Wall Street goes empty. We're done. I don't know if she called Mamdani and told him, hey, bro, ixnay with the tax A. It's not going to happen. Well, if that's not going to happen, how's he going to do anything he said? All of these people are going to vote for him because he's a Marxist nut job, and he can't do any of the nut jobbing. So he's going to sit there for years and complain and rile people up and probably go after her. And now she's also, don't for an instant think what really happened. She's been watching Elise Stefanik in her rearview mirror. And Elise Stefanik has been probably drooling. So you're going to go ahead and raise taxes on people, huh? Remember, she's got an election coming up. So, hey, Mamdani, I'm going to have to abort you right now because I got to watch out for Elise Stefanik, who's sitting here just drooling because you've been telling everybody we're going to raise all kinds of taxes. And so now she's got to do a little bit of CYA. Nope, no, we're not going to do that.
I cannot make up for that with middle-class tax increases. I cannot do that to the middle class and the struggling New Yorkers. So this is the balance. I mean, this is my position.
The Democrats are a complete mess. I don't know if you guys had seen that. Zoran Mandami is talking about, I'm going to raise the taxes all over the city. We're going to give away free this. We're going to free that. I'm going to give you free clothes, free food, free bus passes, free everything. We're going to buy property. We're going to take the landlord stuff. We're going to do eminent domain. And she just said, no. No, we can't do that to the people here. It's our lifeblood. But yet you just stood at a rally with him. You just went to a rally and cheered Mandami. And not even a week later, no, I can't do any of that stuff. Nope. So what the hell is New York voting for? Is New York voting for some young kid to just come in there with a big smile who can't do anything, who the police don't want to work with, the fire department doesn't want to work with, and now the governor doesn't want to work with? What in the hell are you people in New York thinking? What was she thinking when she went on that stage? And now, this is where New York is.
Number 5.
Dynamic, and given the way that the president has been tweeting memes about you, has been, in your words and the words of Democrats, already dismantling healthcare, what makes you think that he will negotiate anything? What makes you think that he and Republicans will cave to you?
First and foremost, if you are a politician and you want to be taken as trustworthy, don't do an interview with sunglasses on. This is so stupid for him to go out there and act like he's got something to say while wearing sunglasses. If people can't see your eyes, people can't trust you. If people can't see your eyes, they can't gauge your authenticity. If I sat in here, I don't even have any here. If I sat in here the whole time with sunglasses on and you can't see my eyes, you would think, well, what's Barry talking about? What's he doing? This dude is standing there like some sort of gangster, some sort of rapper. That was stupid. Well, only surpassed by what he says next.
Public sentiment. At the end of the day, the public knows that Donald Trump and Republicans have shut the federal government down, and that they're continuing to engage in the chaos and the cruelty and the corruption that we've seen from this administration from day one of the presidency. Again, this is the first week of their shutdown, but we've had months of chaos and cruelty unleashed on the American people. And the American people are paying close attention.
Yeah, they are. They're paying very close attention. They're paying close attention to the fact that you guys want to give $1.5 trillion to newcomers. Oh, and stuff in other countries like Uganda, circumcisions. You notice, we've been going through this a month now, a little over a month, and they never mention what it is you want to negotiate. You have, I mean, we've all seen it. I hope you've read it. Mike Johnson has publicized it. We know what the document says. Why is it they never talk about it? Why is it that the press never says, hey, on page 114, paragraph C, it says you want to give $1.2 million to a LGBTQ cookbook in Botswana? Why do they never talk about it? Well, number one, they're in on it. Number two, they know it's unsellable. Imagine that. Imagine you have something you want to sell, but you can't tell people what it is you're selling. Just sign it. Well, you've got some stuff in here. I'm not buying it. Oh, you're going to shut the government down because you won't give us what we want. There is no negotiation to be had.
And they know that it was Donald Trump and Republicans who have shut the government down. They also know that House Democrats are fighting and Senate Democrats are fighting to protect the health care of the American people, because the Republican health care crisis has been devastating to people all across the country, devastating to working class Americans, devastating to rural America, to urban America, to the heartland of America, to small town America, and to black and brown communities all across America.
I hate that they I hate that they use this racial shit. Excuse my language. And the blanket statements. Again, the reason why I'm pointing this out, because I want you to understand, they never talk about anything positive that they're doing for people. How they're going to increase your livelihood. How they're going to increase your ability to and your opportunity. How about talk about prosperity? Have you guys ever in any speech mentioned the word prosperity? You know, ka-ching. How are you going to help Americans prosper? Never gets talked about. Not by Mondami, not by AOC, not by Schumer, and definitely not by Jeffries. Prosperity is a bad word to Democrats. That in and of itself should make you completely scream, nuke it. We want to be prosperous. There's nothing wrong with being prosperous. They won't even mention it.
We've never seen anything like this in terms of the pain that has been inflicted on the American people by Republicans. House Democrats are simply making the case that we need to cancel the cuts, lower the costs.
See, this reason I kept this was from early in the shutdown, and somebody told him, you can't talk about that anymore. Cancel the cuts. That's the crux of this argument. And those cut cancellations were afforded by the big, beautiful bill. So what they're trying to do is do a mulligan. Let's do over. That you passed that, but we're trying to fix the big, beautiful bill because we got our butts spanked. So to redo the cuts, make it all come back. No, we already passed a law. That's gone. That's off the table. There's nothing to negotiate. The law was passed. It was signed. Those cuts are cuts. They're gone. We're not giving you that anymore. And that's what this is all about.
And save health care. Thank you all.
Leader Jeffries, you address the 20. Number 4.
Just into our politics lead, moments ago, President Trump responded to the rulings today from 2 different federal judges who said that the White House and the Agriculture Department must use the billions of dollars in contingency funds to at least partially cover food stamp benefits in November. CNN.
And that's a lie. I actually read to you what the judge said. One judge said, yeah, go ahead and spend the money. The other one said, can you come back with a plan on Monday and let us know how it's going to happen? And Trump said, as I've shown you, well, why don't you tell me? You tell me how I'm supposed to do it. But I also told you the media would lie and run with it as if that was the ruling.
Jeff Zeleny is at the White House. Jeff, what did the president have to say?
Well, Jake, it was that back-to-back ruling from the federal judges that got the White House's attention. Certainly the president just a few moments ago writing on Truth Social from his Mar-a-Lago resort that the White House is now willing to pay. Let's take a look at part of his message here. It says, our government lawyers do not think that we have the legal authority to pay SNAP with certain monies we have available. And now 2 courts have issued conflicting opinions on what we can and cannot do. The president writes, I do not want Americans to go hungry just because the radical Democrats refuse to do the right thing and reopen the government. Therefore, he says, I have instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible. Of course, SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps. It helps 42 million Americans, about 1 in 8 Americans. So this, of course, is the deadline that is looming tomorrow. So the White House is now saying they will pay. The question is, Jake, how long will that...
That's not what he said. You just read exactly what he said and ignored what he said and said the White House said they're going to pay. No, that's not what he said. He actually, you read what he said. And here, I do this often because you guys sometimes will miss what these people say. Listen to what he reads and then listen to what he says.
It says, our government lawyers do not think that we have the legal authority to pay SNAP with certain monies we have available. And now 2 courts have issued conflicting opinions on what we can and cannot do. The president writes, I do not want Americans to go hungry just because the radical Democrats refuse to do the right thing and reopen the government. Therefore, he says, I have instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible. Of course, SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps. It helps 42 million Americans, about 1 in 8 Americans. So this, of course, is the deadline that is looming tomorrow. So the White House is now saying they will pay. The question is, Jake.
That's not what he said. The White House is now saying they pay. No, you missed what he said. He said, I'll ask the court to clarify how you expect me to break the law. See, if you were a real news organization, you would have read what he said, and then you and Jake could have had a conversation and discussed, what does he mean, clarify? See, if there was an order, and if he was willing to go ahead and comply with said order, then he would say, yeah, I'm going to release the funds. That's not what he said at all. The media is lying. He said, I'll ask the court to clarify. Wait till they give the clarification. If he gets the right clarification, if the clarification satisfies him, then he may not appeal. But he did not say, yeah, I'm going to open a spigot tomorrow. Nope, didn't happen.
How long will that take to actually get enacted? Because it will take a while for the USDA to send the money to the states. And it's not enough to fund the entire month, but only partial funding. But for the first time, the president is saying he will pay the SNAP funds, much like he did military funding.
No, he didn't say that. See, I break this stuff down so you guys can actually hear and understand specifically how they are gaslighting America. The president chose, whether he typed it or somebody else, a very directed post. I read it to you last night. He just read it on the air and pretended like he didn't even see it. Okay, it's a good sign he's going to pay. That's not what he said. Your audience are stupid people. They listen to you and you're stupidly misleading them, gaslighting them. And I think, excuse me, I feel it's very important when I do my shows to show you guys, number one, what's actually said. Number two, how these people misconstrue things, which is why people who you work with in other places are like, well, CNN said he's got to do it. The judge said, no, that's not what happened at all. And this has been going on for years. And they just listen, and you might be in an airport, and you're sitting there couching a plane. Oh, okay, Trump says he's going to do it. That's not what he said. That's not what he said at all.
Earlier this week, but what it does not do is move the shutdown any closer to being a reach. The president, of course, is not here. The House has been out of Washington for more than a month. The Senate also is not in Washington. So the shutdown is entering a second month here, but at least the SNAP benefits, it look like, will be paid at least in part.
So your entire segment that you did on CNN was a lie. They get to do this every single day. They get to just say whatever they want. And they were trying to put the minister of disinformation onto podcasts when that was disinformation or misinformation, whatever you want to call it. And I gotta believe it's intentional because I can't even fathom that they're that stupid. And so because I'm giving them credit of having some intelligence, I have to believe at this point that is intentional gaslighting. He did not say, I'm paying it.
Imagine not having to show up to work for a month and still get paid. Man, nice work if you can get it.
No. That's what he took from that? The fact that, oh boy.
Number 3.
How concerned are you, though, that people and companies will leave New York City and significantly reduce the tax base, which you want to use to pay for all the things you have behind you?
All right. So I played you the clip where Kathy Hochul, she's freaking out. She's the governor. I can't have that. I can't let that happen. This answer is classic idiocy.
I often go back to the statistics that look into this question in previous years. And the Fiscal Policy Institute here in New York City did a study that found that the top 1% leave at 1/4 the rate of other income brackets in New York City. And when they do leave, it's often to other high tax states, as they're described, as well as for the reason of quality of life. I say all this to say that I'm confident that New Yorkers will choose to not only remain here, but also that.
Understand he's saying this. Understanding he doesn't believe anybody's leaving, as he's sitting in front of signs that say, I'm taking all your money. Free rent. He frees the rent. Fast free buses. Child care for all. And you don't think people are going to leave. Oh my gosh.
Others will choose to join us in this city. And I also know that it's my responsibility that for every single dollar that we spend, that it is a dollar that New Yorkers look at as a dollar well invested. Because I know for far too long, when New Yorkers have looked at the New York City budget, they are not convinced in the way in which this money is being spent. And it's my job to show that every single one of these dollars will transform quality of life for every New Yorker, no matter how much money they're making.
I can't stand his smile. I can't even trust somebody who does that crap. Who does that? New Yorkers, you got until Tuesday to make up your mind. Oh my gosh. So listen to this nut job.
Number 2.
Today we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that
his brain trust, the people he works with, actually took the time to put together some sort of resolution where they're going to declare ICE-free zones. You are telling the federal government that they can't do what the federal government is entitled to be doing. This guy's, he's worse than Mandami. He has no brain power. This wouldn't stand up to like this much scrutiny.
The property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
Unwilling businesses will not be. So you can't come park in our parking lot while you get ready to have the raids. Nope. How are you going to stop them? Would have been the first question any reporter should have asked. Just exactly, how are you going to stop ICE from putting all their trucks and cars and stuff when they're planning their raids? How is that going to happen? Oh, the Chicago police are going to go arrest ICE officers? Good luck. Good luck. If you think the local police are going to go arrest ICE officers. I don't think you've thought this one out, bro. You can't. You're basically meeting up with the first level of Andrew Jacksonian stuff. It's a nice little, declaration you made. Go ahead and enforce it. You can't do that, can you? Because nobody's going to answer your call. You're going to call the Chicago police like, hey, what do you want us to do? They got guns too. They're ICE agents. We can't go and stop them. They will arrest us. What an idiot. Now, this last clip, I showed you a tail end of it last time, but Mike Johnson posted basically the entirety of it, and it got even worse.
Number 1.
Joining us from Capitol Hill is Janelle Bynum, who is Democrat from Oregon, represents the 5th district there. Congresswoman, let's begin with SNAP benefits. Funding runs out on Saturday. Should Democrats pass a standalone bill to fund SNAP benefits?
All right. The question is, should Democrats pass a standalone bill to fund SNAP? Very simple question. It's either yes or no. I mean, either you want your people to do a standalone bill or you don't. Well,
good morning. Well, let's be clear. Republicans run the House, they run the Senate, they have the White House, they have the control to make sure that Americans get what they need. And I'm here standing up to make sure that we put forth front and center the American needs so no child goes hungry.
I'm sorry. I don't think you heard me. My question, I'll restate it, is should the Democrats sign or pass a standalone bill to fund SNAP benefits. I don't know if your wig is in your ears or whatever, but I just have to ask you that again a second time, because I understand there are people out here who said the deep state actually controls people like you, because nobody can be this freaking stupid. So let's prove to people you're not this freaking stupid, and that you can remember the question I just asked you and see if you can answer it this time. Should the Democrats pass a standalone bill to fund food stamps?
Is that a yes, then, that there should be a vote on the standalone legislation?
I'm here. My Republican colleagues are on vacation. We want to make sure that we stand up for American people. Speaker Johnson has the right and the control of the House so that we can have a vote. That's not in my control.
I don't think these people realize how stupid they look. A very simple question. Did you wear panties today? I'm just standing here because they told me to stand here. I have no idea what I'm supposed to answer other than just keep repeating what I said. And I will continue to just repeat the same malarkey.
If he did, would you vote yes?
Put a bill on the table and we can look at it.
Oh my gosh. I think this is CNN or whatever. And the woman must be like, why do they make me talk to you people? Why do I got to talk to these idiots? Oh my gosh.
We talked earlier to Congressman Tim Burchett, Republican of Tennessee. He was on the program, and he made the argument that Democrats in previous situations avoided government shutdowns by voting 13 times for so-called clean continuing resolutions that would fund the government at the previous year's funding levels. Why not agree now?
Well, look, I just got here. I don't play politics.
Well, look, I just got here. No, you didn't just get here unless somebody just dropped you off. You've been a congressperson for at least since November, even if it's your first term. You were sworn in probably in January. That's 10 months ago. Can you not answer a question at all? Is this how you represent the people of Oregon? Or are you indeed a plant by the deep state? Because I can't figure out why you can't answer a question.
I want a clean bill that focuses on the American people, that makes sure kids have a full belly, and, you know, all of the clean this, clean that. Americans don't understand that. They know if they have their benefits or not. So put a bill on the table, make sure it's very pure and clean, as they like to say, and it doesn't have a whole lot of fluff in it. I'm not.
There is no fluff. Remember, I think it's like 20 pages. It's pretty simple. There is no fluff. Sign this and we can reopen. The problem is she doesn't know what the bill is. She's asking for just a clean bill, and Mike Johnson and everybody else says it is a clean bill. Americans don't know what a clean bill is. Yeah, they do. It means that things will open up tomorrow. What are you talking about? Well, it's obvious she has no clue. She has no clue what she's talking about. She's going to prove it right here.
I'm here for games. I just want to make sure kids get fed.
They did have a clean CR vote on September 19th in the House. Did you vote for it?
I disagree with your characterization.
This is the part I did before. I didn't have the first part. And I'm like, wait a second. Did you vote for it is the question. I disagree. What are you disagreeing with? Either you voted for it or you didn't vote for it. You're approaching super moron status at this point.
And want to make sure that we're very clear about what Republicans have been doing. Any bill that they've put forth, they've always had some extra stuff to it. There's always been a poison pill to it. So I disagree with your characterization.
What were the poison pills of the clean CR or the continuing resolution? You say it's not clean, that was voted on in the House in mid-September.
Here's what's important.
I can't. You said something. She asked you to define what you said. What are the poison pills? Here's what's important.
I think what you're trying to do is shift the responsibility to Democrats. Speaker Johnson controls the House. He should come back, pull Republicans off of vacation and make sure that we have discussions on what the country needs. We know children need to be fed. Anything else is passing the buck and is playing politics.
Wow. It was worse the second time I saw that because I didn't see the first part, and I wanted to show you guys the first part. Mike Johnson posted the whole clip, and I watched it the second time, and I'm like, this is insane. These people don't know what they're doing. How do they get into office? They have to be installed. There's no other explanation. I can't. So anyway, that's tonight's show. I'm gonna read super chats here, but my gosh, we are in such a bad way. I guess not guess. I can tell the screen never went live, so they did not show the big mega dinner live. So there's probably gonna be clips I can get tomorrow and show you. But wow. Thank you guys for hanging out on a Saturday evening. Crazy, absolutely crazy. What number do I have to go here? I think I need to go to 34 for super chats. Yeah, I gotta go here and put that there. All right, America Ramirez says, yes, he is secretly still working. I believe that, talking about Elon. America Ramirez, ICE was at my job Tuesday. Wow, 49 from the agency. Interesting. Andrew Barry, thank you. They did the Rogan interview because there's a major portion of undecided and non-real radicals have been slapped in the face and are now listening. Bingo. Very, very well. Mr. Phelps, they were hoping and praying that rescue mission would fail. We would still be hearing about that story. Yep. He's talking about the astronauts that got stranded. James Horton, thank you, Barry, and Mods, love you. Thank you very much for watching. Jose, hey, Barry, the devs really did us in. Have you noticed something odd? No EBT. There has been few protests because nobody's going to pay them to go out there. I even went to Walmart today. Business as usual. It was all on Twitter. Let's see what happens. We've still got a couple more days to go. Tinley, devs are desperate, but we are running out of time. Indeed. Buddy Sanders, how did AOC become a multimillionaire? Good question. Good question. They won't ever tell you that, though, will they? Jean Lee, Barry, if we get rid of the filibuster and lose the midterms, will Trump be screwed? Dems are known for rigging elections, my concern. If we get rid of the filibuster, let me just check the clock here. It is November of 2025. If we got rid of the filibuster, a lot of laws can be passed before the midterms. The biggest of them, meaning voter ID. So if we somehow were able to nuke the filibuster and pass voter ID, then no, it wouldn't be a problem. Wouldn't lose the midterms. Jose, if I'm not mistaken, how much is AOC and her clan worth? Only they can have prosperity. Exactly, millions. Frank, and that was from nothing. So it's not like she showed up in office with a bunch of money. She was a bartender. Franco, remember when Mark Cuban went around and said he met privately with Kamala and not to worry because she won't really tax at that rate? Yeah, right. Retro Bill, AOC needs to thank God for the autonomic nervous system because if she had to think to breathe, she'd be in big trouble. Tanaya, Barry, AOC would benefit greatly from a lobotomy. Job for 9. If John is not prepared to go nuclear, then he's the wrong man for the job. Yeah, I'm giving John Thune the benefit of a doubt. I'm giving John Thune the benefit that he's working on a head fake, and he's not showing people that he's listening to Trump, even though Trump's pushing it very hard. Jeanette, how about those Buckeyes? Yeah, I bet you that first half must have had you a little bit nervous. Penn State looked like they were going to do something. And then they got blowed out. I mean, absolutely. If you guys weren't watching, Ohio State, #1 team in the country, defending national champions, playing a dilapidated Penn State who lost 4 games in a row. And at halftime, they were right there. And then it just rolled. Nikki Hayes got married last Saturday and went a lot of kids. We went to Charleston for a week. Beautiful, beautiful town. You're right, and lots of history. And a lot of people. First of all, to your marriage, congratulations. Second, Nikki, a lot of people who've never been to Charleston don't like to talk about Charleston because, you go down and you go into the downtown area and a lot of the slave market used to be there and it has nothing to do with the people there now, but they're always complaining about the slave barracks and stuff. So true. Here in the UK, Parliament is a simple majority, which is why people vote for their party. Why can't the Senate act the same way? The filibuster. Pug's mom, drastic times require drastic measures. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Buddy Sanders, Shifty Shift getting paid. Yeah, he's probably trying to stay one step ahead of Pam Bondi. And just to let you guys know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, we haven't seen any arrests from this stuff. When it comes, it's going to pour. I don't think we're going to see one by one by one. I think we'll see a roundup. And I do believe it's coming. Jennifer Seidel, can you tell us what actual damage Mamdani can do? As the mayor, you just heard Kathy Hochul say you can't raise taxes because you just can't do it on your own. So the only thing that he can really do is basically rile up a lot of the people in the city and do some city things. Like, for instance, when Rudy Giuliani went in and cleaned up New York City and Times Square and 42nd Street and cleaned out all those people, Mamdani is going to let it fester. Mamdani is not going to enforce the laws that are already there, which are going to cause things to be like Escape from New York. He doesn't want the police, which he does control. He doesn't want the New York police answering certain calls. He wants social workers. What do you think the criminals are going to do when they find out the cops aren't coming? See, that's the number one thing that I think Mamdani is a problem for New York City, is because in order to destroy the biggest city in the world, crime can do it for him. The fact that he won't let New York police be New York policemen, that's one of the things. And then the effect that has. If there's a call for the fire department, and there's no police there to escort them if they're going to a bad area, and the bad areas will multiply. And then some of the other stuff regarding, how can I say this, culture, the tolerant people. Chapo, once Mamdani wins, he will send the commie brigade over to Kathy and convince her she needs to raise taxes. Lynn, took all of 2 minutes to make me a fanberry. Love to see it. Guys like it. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. Donna, please explain why Thune and Mike Johnson are objecting after all we've been through, and can they actually stop Trump? As I said earlier, I can only hope that John Thune is play acting. Mike Johnson, I think he'll do whatever he's told. I don't think that they want to face the press. I don't think they want to face other Republicans right now and say this is what we're going to do. Even though President Trump is being very vocal, and I think what President Trump is doing is forcing a conversation. I think President Trump realizes we need to begin talking about this, if for no other reason to see who reacts what way. How many of the Republicans are going to push back? How many of the Democrats are going to completely freak out? What's the public thinking? Most of the public doesn't know. Most of the public aren't being explained what the nuclear option is. So once they start talking about it, you're going to see Democrats have to talk about it because they got to be terrified if they nuke it. It has to happen. And I think President Trump is launching a trial balloon to see how people respond, including Thune and Mike Johnson. But by now they know what he thinks. Sheila, Barry, we have rhinos, 4 including McKay. So how do we get to 51 in the Senate if we go nuclear? Well, if you've noticed, even the bills where they jumped, there were still 52 that voted, 47 or 48. So at that point, it's getting closer. Yeah, McConnell's never going to do it. Murkowski's probably never going to do it. What's the other one? Susan Collins probably never going to do it. But what nobody's counting on are people like Fetterman and probably a couple closet Democrats who are like, we got to stop this. Because at this point, let's see it get to like day 60. If a lot of people are speculating that they're waiting for Mondami to get elected and then they'll cave. But if they don't cave by Tuesday after that election, and New Jersey and Virginia, if they still don't cave by Wednesday morning, we may be headed to day 60, 61. Jim Wright, I'm invading Florida in a week, going to a wedding. 2 friends are getting married to each other. No, it's not Chuck and Larry. It's Mike and Julie, biological male and female. Julie is a legal immigrant. Congratulations. Sheila Marie, Barry, can you tell us what happened to the TRO that Noam won at the Supreme Court in July to deport? Yep, that got upheld by the Supreme Court. So, again, you had a district court judge say you can't get rid of the Venezuelans and the Haitians, and then the Supreme Court last week did say, yep, you can do it. And that's what keeps happening. The district court judges stop stuff. It goes to the Supreme Court. They overturn it, which is why they're freaking out about the Supreme Court. They already have so many district court judges. The problem is all the stuff that they're doing gets overturned by the Supreme Court. Nikki P., whoever's writing their talking points has to be the same person. They all say, let me be clear, and then proceed to not be clear. Exactly. Thank you, Nikki. Neo, where'd Neo go? Again, I say Trump, do it. Can't wait to see the dance. Barry, always love what you do here. Thank you, Neo. Nicholas Lamonica. Hey, Nicholas. Barry, they will change the name of New York to New Cuba if Mondami is elected back. He's going to win. We're going to wake up Monday with a communist mayor in New York. Tinley, hey, Congressman, you want to know if a bill is simple or does it have lots of pork belly? Stuff it to an AI. It will read it to you. Let the AI read it. Yeah, if they don't understand it, you can upload it to Grok. It'll come up with a summation very quickly. Mariah, thank you. Lena Newton, the moochers are misinterpreting land of the free. And Raven Kirkendall, what happens on day 61 of the shutdown? On day 61 of the shutdown, all of the federal workers that have been laid off, they end up losing their jobs permanently. And all kinds of things after that happen permanently. And so if it gets to day 61, I'll do another show on day 61, but all hell is going to break loose. And they can't possibly want this to get to day 61. I couldn't even imagine that would be something that they'd want to do. Because they would lose 700, everything. They would lose this fight for the shutdown. They would lose 700,000 federal jobs. It's basically the pre-nuclear option at that point. All right, everybody. I hope you guys have a great Saturday night. I will see you tomorrow sometime. I got to go find this dance and see if dance or dinner, whatever Trump was at, it didn't get posted. So we'll have that for tomorrow. And thank you guys very much.